Yo, what's going on? I told y'all and promised y'all I would get back to this. So I want to make sure y'all see it and understand it in all its entirety of how they muted and they silenced and deleted Carmelo Anthony to protect the legacy of LeBron James. Um, from the beginning, when these guys were in high school, two broke players headed towards the NBA. Carmelo Anthony played 1 year of college where he won a national championship for Syracuse, where LeBron went straight and direct to the NBA. Melo couldn't believe LeBron was the age that he was, but they came in the same draft year with a 1 Dwayne Wade. LeBron came right in at 18 and was productive. So was Carmelo. Carmelo was young. He had time to flourish. And he was trying to deal with the speed of the game. All these guys were stronger and fast. And now you're not going against other high school players and some guys who are probably not going to play at this level much longer. This game is way much faster and you got to deal with the speed of it. They were holding their own as people would just stand back and watch them two guard each other whenever they played each other, which would only be twice a year. So Melo had the better of LeBron in those matchups. He was player of the month or rookie of the month in almost every month of the season. I'm just surprised that LeBron James ended up winning Rookie of the Year over Carmelo, which let them know, LeBron was the agenda. Carmelo was the sacrificial lamb. As this continued, it did not even cross other people's minds that while Carmelo was playing with the Nuggets and then going to the Knicks, this guy was incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. Him and LeBron, over that period of time in regular season games, played almost the same amount of games. LeBron played 12 more games, I believe, more than Melo at that time. Melo played about, I would say, probably 1,131. And LeBron was like probably 1144, 45 or something like that at that time. But Melo had amassed, what was this? Oh, somebody sent me something from LeBron. Carmelo had amassed like 27,387 points during that span. It's like, are you kidding me? And this is not including the playoffs. In the playoffs, that's even something else in its entirety. This man had only played 72 playoff games in his entire run. That's it. 72 playoff games. Scoring 1,764 points. LeBron James has played 239 during that span of playoff games. And I mean that span of before he went to the Lakers. He was at 239 and scored 6,907 points. So that's where the difference is, people, is in the playoff games. Now, Bron in the regular season had scored about 31,000 points. But Carmelo, even right now, if you go back to 2017, 2018, the last year he started, Carmelo was averaging about 24 points a game. Carmelo was averaging about 22, 23 points a game throughout his career. that was the standard. So he set the tone of this is the standard. I'm averaging this much. Do you know he would have eclipsed that record right with LeBron James? They both would be passing Kareem had he been left alone to just play and start. But he pissed the NBA off. When he wanted out from the Knicks and the Knicks wanted to get rid of him, he plotted with Paul George to go to OKC to make that team a super team during that time. The NBA did not like that. Carmelo Anthony did not decide to go and play with LeBron James and help LeBron James over in Cleveland or go with him to LA. He chose to go to OKC. How dare you turn down LeBron's invitation? So after his year, when he only played one season, the whole team broke up. They never really had a chance to fully become what they could have become. But the team was broken up immediately. Paul George left. Next thing you know, Russ is leaving. It became a big mess over there. But ever since then, Carmelo, he couldn't get a starting job. He couldn't even get a job in the NBA anymore. The NBA was pissed at him for going to OKC. Why is the league so upset that Carmelo Anthony did what he wanted to do for his career and didn't go along with the agenda of joining LeBron James on his beau voyage and go to the Lakers? They wanted Carmelo Anthony to go to the Lakers with LeBron. That did not happen. And he went to OKC, which made another juggernaut in there and made it more harder for LeBron James. He left the East, went to the West, made that jump in the same transition. They're getting ready to introduce LeBron James to the Lakers. They did not want that move to happen, and they punished Carmelo Anthony for it. He was out the league, could not understand why he was out the league. The Houston Rockets wanted to bring him back, and they told him he could only have a role coming off of the bench, which made no sense to him. He couldn't understand, like, what in the world is going on here? Was not making sense to Carmelo Anthony. One bit. He hadn't cost the NBA any problems. You know, he's definitely towing the line here. You know, like, what is the problem? He just made a decision based on his career and where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do. Now he's being blackballed and being shut out of the NBA when he could still play the game. And they will not give him a chance. So the Rockets, and coming off the bench to help James Harden, that was the only thing he could get. And 10 games in, they say, oh, James Harden's like, oh, this isn't going to work. So he was out of the league. So the Portland Trailblazers were the only team that would give him a nod where he wasn't supposed to even start. But they had an injury on the team, and he ended up starting 58 games, and he did well. He did so good, they let him come back the next year where he agreed to come off the bench. But his scoring dropped because he shared the load. His career has been marred with so much nonsense that it doesn't even make sense to try to point a finger at somebody else on the team or point fingers at Carmelo like, oh, he got rid of Phil Jackson. Phil couldn't do anything. No, Phil Jackson was just a terrible general manager. Period. He was terrible at the job. He wasn't qualified. What he wanted to do was do what Pat Riley does. but he was never as skilled as Pat Riley. He doesn't really know talent that well. Can't gauge it. All he's been is a knockoff coach. Absolutely. So that's really the gist of it. And that is really the difference. They couldn't have Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James both passing Kareem Abdul Jabbar. Carmelo Anthony is ninth right now in the all time scoring in the NBA. Ninth. And the reason that he's ninth, and he's only scored, what, 3,000 something points since he's like been coming off the bench in his last 3 years. He didn't play this year at all. After playing and teaming up with LeBron coming off the bench, where he played well. They blame Russ for everything, but he played well. And still, it wasn't enough. So, again, he did not come up short. They had AD, Russ, Melo, and LeBron, and didn't even make the playoffs. Make it make sense. Well, people are fascinated by stats. I say stats tell one side of the game. They don't tell you everything. Now, if you added all the ABA numbers, there'll be a lot of players in here. Like Dr. J would be probably near the top of this list, you know. Um, but right now, if you look at, it's just like if you add Warren Moon numbers with his numbers he had in Canada, because they felt Warren Moon wasn't able to be an NBA quarterback. And it was like, are you kidding me? Jerry West never had a 3-point attempt. Wasn't 3-pointers in his game. So he wasn't up there at the time. So he didn't play in the era of the 3-point shot. But he basically shot 3-pointers. He would have the record. I mean, totally. Uh, it's a bunch of ifs and whiffs. But, you know, it's it's a dicey thing at best when you want to add up all the points in the game and how far people are from the record. Carmelo Anthony has what 28,289, right? So if he got that many points and he's ninth, he's only about 300 points away from Shaq. So that would have put him at 8th all time. And he'd have played this season, he'd have easily scored over 300 points. Okay, so he's 300 points away from the 8th spot. Dirk Nowitzki is 6th with 31,000 points. So if you play 20 years in the league, you're gonna have 31,000 points on average. If you're good, you can average that. Now here's the thing that I call the kicker. If Kobe Bryant wasn't hurt those final 3 years of his career, he already had 33,000. We talking Kareem number would have been smashed into pieces. But that's the way we play the game. All right? That's why we play the game. So if Melo was playing, he was at 28,000 then. LeBron has 10,000 more points. If Melo was starting, he would be over, let me see. That's about, let me see. How many years is LeBron in? That's about 4 years. Melo's average points. Let's go break this down while we're here. Because Carmelo Anthony is, you see, that's, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 5 years ago. Okay. So that's 5 years, people. Remember, he's at 28,000 now. So let's take away what he's done so far. Since then, he's probably at 24. Let's put him at 24, 196, around there. About 24,000 points if we take away the points he had for those previous 5 years. Let's just go back to OKC Carmelo, right? Let's go back to there. Because that makes sense. OKC was his last run. It was the first time in his career he ever scored under 20 points a game. And that was because he was sharing the load. And since then, so that's, let me see, 5 seasons. So 5 seasons of points on an average based on what he normally scores. He averages anywhere from 13 to 17,000. Okay? So let's just say he averaged 1,400, rather. Not 13 to 14,000. Sorry, I meant hundreds of points. Let's say he averaged 1,400 points. Right? Let's just say that was the case. So he had 1,400 times 5. That's 7,000 more points. So add that to the 2,400 he got. Add the 7,000 up. Right? So 7,000 plus the 24,196, he would have 31,196 points. In the last 5 years, had he continued on with the average of what he averaged, over 30,000, 31, and he would have been actively playing. They couldn't have that. They couldn't have another player near Kareem's record, near the all-time record, near LeBron James and all these. They couldn't have that. And let you know, that is a lower average. That is a low average. 1,400 is just where I went. He would have had more than that. But that was just a low average of what he normally scores in a season. So he would have been fifth. He would have passed Jordan. And he would have been right at Kobe Bryant's level, which is at 33,000 around there. So that's fourth and fifth in the NBA. And LeBron's going for Kareem's record. I would never tell anybody in the human being, in the human world, that it's destined and it's, oh, you could do it. It's hard to do. But if you play long enough, you can. I mean, hell, Antoine Jameson is in the top 50 of all-time scorers in the NBA. I'm serious. DeMar DeRozan is neck and neck with Steph Curry. If you play long enough, you will be on the list. Hell, Robert Parrish got 24,000 points. The Chief. Right? If you play long enough, you're supposed to be on the list. You're going to make this list. And it's going to be so many of these new age people to make this list. This stat won't even mean anything anymore. They're using it to promote LeBron James. But it's foolery because now it's so easy to score. Any knucklehead could score. There's no degree of difficulty to the basket. That's what stats can't tell you. How hard was it for LeBron to score those points? It was more harder for Kobe and Mike than it was for LeBron. So, game is different. That's why you can't judge it because of errors. The different eras you played in. So when we say that, this is what we mean by it. Melo kept trying, but he just gave up the hope in the fight. So don't forget to go to the Patreon. We're going to talk about this a little more. I just wanted to give you guys some insight on it. Don't forget to follow Kwame Brown Bust Life, Kwame Brown Bust Life 2.0, One Crack News. Go to the Patreon, like I said, on Carcino for Life. And welcome to HD with the Two Eyes TV, Seahawks, Jose Rodriguez. And I'm out, man.